Hello, everyone. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. Settle back, everybody. We have a great show. You know, I've been waiting to get our guest on the show for about a month, and we were sitting around at DotCom Magazine. Of course, one thing that we all love are creatives. We call them creatives around the office, of course. Anytime we can get a world-renowned expert in creative design, we love to bring them on the show. Of course, Carol Hoover is the creative director and founder of a wonderful company called Trio Now, and she does so many great things at the practice. She also is involved, of course, with the Eyak Preservation Council that we're going to talk about. She's a co-founder there as well. But when we talk about creative people, and we talk about people that really know how to get things done for their clients, I mean, Carol's at the top of the list. So, Carol, I'm so excited and honored to have you on the DotCom Magazine show today. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. That's quite a welcome.
All right, here we go, Carol. I mean, here you are. You're standing up. You have so much energy. You can't even sit down. Let's pull the lens back to 30,000 feet and tell us about what you're doing at Trio Now.
Trio Now, right now, is a relaunch. We actually started Trio in a long time ago. It was like 1994. And it was after I sold a business called Triad. And that was because there was tragedy there. There were two partners. My partner passed away from AIDS. There was also the Exxon Valdez oil spill in 1989. And I was alone in Triad, and I wasn't happy at all. But I sold the business to someone, but I had some licensing clients and some people that wanted to keep track of me. So I grabbed the name Trio, and I was able to grab the name Trio Now. And so we did some great work, but then I was called to go to Alaska. I ended up helping a native tribe, the Eyak people, stop clearcutting in Prince William Sound after the Exxon Valdez oil spill. And I helped co-found an organization there called the Eyak Preservation Council. So I kept Trio kind of going all this time while I was doing really amazing work with an amazing team in Alaska. We have saved almost 1 million acres of land. Clear cutting, coal mining, preserving a language, unbelievably inspiring stuff. Now it's time for me to bring more creativity back into my sphere with them as well. And Trio Now is relaunching. I have an amazing, talented designer partner named Laura Alders. And we are calling ourselves a consultancy, a creative consultancy. We do marketing, branding, identity systems, logos, naming, packaging, marketing, events. We also can help guide campaigns and work with coalitions. So it sounds like we're multifaceted, but I'd like to step back and say that concepts, you can't really come up with a good plan to do anything if you don't have a comprehensive concept that you can build your plan and your mission and your goal, your objective statements from. That's an important thing for a lot of designers, even, and graphic designers, to know that you're really the planning that it takes to succeed with a client takes the client knowing what their mission is, what their goal is, what their objectives are. And you can help them get all that together, but it's nearly impossible to do any kind of advertising, branding, or coalition for a specific project unless you really have the right mission, goal, and objectives from the proprietors, from the folks that need the work to succeed.
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. We want to get into it all. Of course, you've built your reputation on progressive branding, identity systems, marketing, packaging. I mean, you do trade shows and events, licensed property development, of course, fine design. But one thing that really stands out about you, Carol, when I think about it, I sort of think about 3 letters, ECO, eco. I mean, everything you do, you have great intent in sort of the eco aspects of what I'm calling the burgeoning organic and sustainable practices that are happening in many different industries right now. Where did this whole thing develop that you just love making sure that everything's eco-friendly and sustainable and doing good for the world?
Well, that goes way back, I guess. I loved the forest, even as a girl, and the animals. And it was just in my heart and my mind and everything. Even though I grew up in Washington, D.C., I grew up next to an area called Rock Creek Park. And outside of D.C. in those days, because I am not young, there were a lot of woods. I spent a lot of time in the forest. I really became intuitive, I think, about animals, watching them. I had the patience. Okay, so that's a long time ago. Then I end up in art and design, in the advertising business, first job. Then I ended up pretty young. By the mid-20s, I had my own agency. And I was appalled at the waste in printing, advertising. So I became a speaker. I'd already moved to San Francisco. I became a spokesperson for recycling and tree-free paper and soy inks as opposed to, oil inks. So it goes way back, Andrew. But climate change, if I may touch on that, was something that, because I'm interested in science and I used to read a lot and spend time in the forest, I noticed the weather's getting warmer when I was in college, before people were really talking about it. And then I got little pings about it, carbon, climate change. So I actually did a series of drawings that were a little bit controversial in college, of an oil barrel with a skull on it, with the earth in the oil barrel. And so I've been attuned to it. But yet, here we are on our computers. I'm going to get in. I still have a gas car because I live up a way hill and there's no plug-ins up here. But I think we all can do a lot about what's happening right now in our lives. It's a weird time with the pandemic and everything. We have to keep that smile on our face. There's no doubt about it. But we also have to do what we love. As a businesswoman, I would say I've been very successful and I've been blessed and lucky. But, I had the extreme honor recently to do a Zoom with Jane Goodall about the work we do in Alaska. And the man I work with, Dune Lankard, mentioned the word coincidence. And Jane sat back and said, she goes, I'm a scientist, but I don't really believe in coincidence. She said, I believe in having a belief and having some foresight, and that those things can actually help make good coincidences happen. And to have something said like that to us by Jane Goodall was just pretty miraculous. So Trio now we are a concept-driven creative consultancy, but we do have our own goal and mission statement. We had to do that in order to go forward now in this environment. And so we want to work with clients and campaigns, and we want to deliver successful results. But we also want to show a great respect for the environment and human rights and sustainable solutions and for social justice. And we want our work to have a give back component. So I would say, anyone out there that wants to talk to us that has a project, we invite you to look at our website and connect with us. But I really appreciate this opportunity, Andrew, for one other reason, especially. I have had to work with a lot of young people in activism, on the ground, and there's a lot of anxiety happening right now around the planet. And it's a very interesting, precarious time, business-wise as well. Small businesses are having a real tough time. I'm a small business. But at the same time, I would say to you, anyone, do your best to find what you love and do what you love. When you're anxiety ridden, try to do something that makes you happy. And I say creativity is a gift. We all are blessed with creativity. I have had the opportunity to be able to focus on it all my career. So, I've honed it a bit because I don't rush. That's the other thing. You can't rush a good idea. You need the information. You need the feedback. And it's really never really good to work on assumptions. So I've been going on and on here, Andrew. I hope that I'm doing real cool.
I love it. There's so much to unpack. I'm just sitting here listening. I mean, typically on an interview, I want to ask the next question, Carol, but with you, I just want to listen. And I love that so much. I mean, you really show so much respect, like you said, for the environment and human rights, sustainable solutions, and social justice. I love it so much. Now, one thing that's really remarkable, I mean, you mentioned earlier in the interview that you saved over 1 million acres of land. I mean, that's a lot of land at the Eyak Preservation Council. Let's unpack that just briefly, because that's a remarkable story. And maybe you could just tell us a little bit about that from a high level. And then we want to get into entrepreneurship as well.
Well, I'm going to bring up his name. The gentleman, his name is Dune Lankard. That's like sand dune, Lankard. And now he's with a group called the Native Conservancy. And the Eyak Preservation Council is going to calm down, and it's very activist based. I mean, we've done nonviolent demonstrations, and if you look at the site, you'll see. Dune wants to work on solutions. I would say that's what we all have to do. That's what Trio wants to do now. We want to work on solutions. But the Native Conservancy Land Trust is focusing on growing kelp, restorative kelp, ocean-based food. And so he's an amazing person, very inspiring. He was a very good leader. We had to take on the powers that be in Alaska, in South Central, because of the Exxon Valdez oil spill. Because of that tragedy, clear cutting started happening all over Prince William Sound. Dune had to, and I helped file a lawsuit. We stopped the clear cutting, but native shareholders in Alaska got paid to leave their trees standing. Now, over the years, we have had to stop oil and gas drilling. We did it in Katala. The most recent victory was 65,000 acres in Katala in Alaska, where we got the community. And that's the other thing, working with communities and getting people willing to write letters to their legislature. That's an important thing to do right now. Everyone out there that has an opinion, and obviously a lot of people have diverse opinions right now, but it's good to let your opinions be known in a good, solid way, in a peaceful way. And so we were able to do that. We were able, with logic, science, wisdom, we were able to make a lot of changes over the 20 years that the Eyak Preservation Council was extremely active, and we can take part in 1 million acres of land that we have been able to save from clear cutting, road building. And it's not just me, and it's not just Dune, although a lot of Dune was a great leader. It's the people in the community. We were able to say, your word is going to make a difference. What you say is going to make a difference.
Yeah, I love it. What a great story. What a powerful story. Now, let's just bounce back to Trio now just for a minute. Let's say there's a company that is lucky enough to get you on the phone and start talking to you a bit, and things resonate for both you and them. And you've worked, with small companies, mid-sized companies, huge companies as well. What's the typical engagement? In other words, what types of companies are you able to help the best? Are there certain spaces that you like to focus in on right now over at Trio now?
Yeah, there are a few things. I have to say that I'm going to move to one area, which is licensing. I've been involved, and so has Laura, with very successful licensing programs. And that way we get to promote an artist and their concept. And that has been a lot of fun. I have to say that, because it's a way for us to do the negotiation, find the right licensee. We're dealing with the licensor, and do a deal. I have to admit, I like that. And it makes money for the artist that I'm representing. I have one fellow right now. His name is Marco Bernardini. He's an amazing cartoonist, visionary. His messaging is unique and lovely. And we're hoping, because we're just signed him on, we're hoping that he can do books and coloring books and T-shirts and things like that. So that's one avenue, which is artists for licensing. The other is we really enjoy doing what I call more branding than marketing. And I don't really like the word branding, because I always think about sticking that thing on the cow, but that's that. Nobody's come up with a better word yet. It's identity systems. Over the course of my career and Laura's, we've done naming, logos, and so forth. But what's really interesting is that when you have that, you really have to be able to present it to the appropriate audience. And a lot of times the people that own their logo or their brand or their whatever, they're not too sure how to communicate, because they're making the product. And we help with that. So it's really nothing like I can say we really want to work in food, although I have. And we really want to work in, well, there's another thing I love is book design. I've done a lot of that. So it's really, Trio now is going to be a company that can help people either expand their brand if they need a larger market, or create their identity system. There's one company right now that is interested in working with us that actually has a seed and spice product in a particular region, and their graphics are not going to appeal, and it could be a worldwide brand. So they've come to us because they realize they know their product is great. They know it's helping their farmers. They know that it's helping their region in an eco way, but they don't know how to break into a larger market. And so that's perfect for Trio. That's the perfect. And then every once in a while we get calls, and there's one coming up, of a company that has started, and because of their technology, they're doing really well, but they've hit a stopping point. And when I reviewed their branding and their identity systems, it doesn't really fit with the amazing technology that they're offering. So they're brave enough, and they do have the funding to redo their branding, but we'll have to do and logo. We'll have to do the right PR in order to make that work for their existing customers.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much, Carol. Pardon me. I mean, this is very exciting. Of course, you have this very unique dichotomy. On one hand, you've got this eco approach where you're saving land and millions of acres and doing work with so many eco-friendly people. And on the other hand, I call you and Lars deal makers because you love the art of the deal as well. This is great. Now, I know we've only cut out a certain amount of time, but I want to finish up with some questions on entrepreneurship because, you know, we have some younger people watching the show. Maybe they're hitting a stumbling block. Maybe they're hitting a roadblock. Maybe they hit a pothole. They freeze in the frame. They don't know what to do. So I'm hoping you can look through the camera for the younger entrepreneurs watching the show that are maybe having a difficult time and sort of share some of that Carol Hooverness about what to do, what the action steps to take, how to get through those tough times.
Well, I'm going to think of something that just happened to someone I know. She was hitting a stumbling block and she was very concerned financially. So she's excellent, knowledgeable graphic designer. So she got a job in a technology store, part-time. They wanted her full-time. She kind of got an immediate raise. She was able to save the money and not worry as much. And now she's met other people and she's going back full-time doing what she loves. And I think that's happening to a lot of people. What I have been very lucky to do is that I have known how to start my own businesses. And so that you can't be afraid of either. But you have to be willing to do all of the administration and the legality and everything around all that. And a lot of people don't want to do that, and that's okay. So I do have to go back to feeling confident about what you're good at, honing it down, try not to have anxiety drive you through the wall, and do what you love. And at the same time, I have to say, I just thought of another person, another two people. She had to let her job go because of the pandemic, all right? And she took the monthly salary, but then she started growing plants. She started growing rare plants. And now she's doing she's volunteering to help people, and she's making money growing these plants. She had no idea. And now she's also painting, and she's selling her paintings. So, you know, I think it's kind of like sometimes you do just have to throw it out to the universe and have patience. But if you have to pick up a book to learn about bookkeeping and accounting, do it. That's a very important thing for young people not to let go by the wayside.
Yeah, I love it, Carol.
That was okay for me to say.
Yeah, of course. That's great advice. Of course, you and I both know as entrepreneurs, if you don't hit those potholes once in a while, it just means you're not pushing hard enough. Listen, this has been an amazing interview. We're going to bring you back on the show because I want to get more into your journey, you know, and I want to get a little bit deeper into, of course, what you've done with the Eyak Preservation Council, but of course, this Trio Now, this startup that you're re-engaging is going to be very, very powerful. So many people are already reaching out to you. So, Carol, I want to thank you so much for coming on the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today. This has been an awesome interview.
Thank you.